Alright, this could really be the next video in the series about crabs and Canaanites and all that, but it's going to take on a life of its own here. This is going to be, if you've been listening to the rest of the information, this will be bar none the most powerful video, at least for evidence of what I'm telling you is the truth, based upon what they code and display before our eyes. This will be bar none the most powerful video I've ever done. Bar none. It's going to support what I'm trying to explain to you in more ways than one. It's going to support the very diverse ways that I explain to you as well. And to let you all know that the Spirit does lead correctly. And I promise you that. Babylon will have a very heavy burden upon its heart this day that it must reconcile. The gospel is real, and what has been entrusted to me to deliver will be delivered, and I know that many of you are going to find your way, even those that reject this day. So allow me just to take a little time to kind of show you something here that will instantly become one of the most incredible videos I've ever done. We're going to be taking a look at the movie Deep Impact, and obviously everybody should be familiar with it. I think that one of the most main things to recognize out of the movie is this term called L, which they first start describing as Ellie, and then it literally breaks down to E-L-E, which is actually pretty interesting because it will support the way that I describe the movie Semi-Pro, the comedy with Will Ferrell, basketball game. Basket is the ephah basket from Zechariah 4 and 5. And then, of course, we've got the ball, which is the Lord, the Baal, the ring. And then I tried to describe to you that it was all about, deceiving people and destroying people, but yet still getting them to perform the work for you to bring you to that point. And, of course, casting them away. We made connections to this place in which people were being casted away, to islands. And we even made the connection further with Gilligan's Island, the skipper, the red and the blue. Told you about it with the SS Minnow, the Men of O, Osiris, Orion. And then we're going to see how this is going to fulfill within this movie Deep Impact in an incredible way. All of these things that we've spoken about all at once will combine to let you know that if you're not with the gospel, the truth of Jesus Christ, you most certainly are on the wrong side of the line. So, before I read you something and show you something, I want you to remember something that we looked at for the movie The 13th Warrior. As I talked about this sword, something was coming to my mind about King Arthur, in which I was making connections to ancient Egypt, and I said that you shouldn't pass that off too lightly, the connection with Arthur and Egypt. And as I began to show you something right here. Nephthys, sister of Isis, was a goddess of women. Her name means Lady of the Castle. And she was associated with the home of Osiris, who she helped restore to life. Now, it has to be a particular home as he's wounded and being restored to life, which is going to make this home an island. It's going to make it an island, as I connected it back with Gilligan's Island, which we further connected back to the moon, which then will further reveal what Ezekiel 17, Zechariah 4 and 5, and Rev 12 are all about. So we can see this connection now with the castle, which has to link us back up to King Arthur, and this connection with the camels and Camelot, and then, of course, Lot's wife, and then somebody looking back, and what they're actually looking back to when they think that they're not. And they're going back to the same old deception, the same old apple of their eye, the same old temptation. Now, of course, there's many varying levels of how they present this to their initiates. Some they say we make people think we're going there, and then we're really not. We're going somewhere else. And then they dupe them somewhere. And then they tell the other that, well, we make other people think we're really not going there because it's so bad, but yet we really are. And then they dupe them as well. You see that? You see that? Babylon give unto her double. Jesus will give you something double good. And that's the 2 commands of the gospel. Love the Father with all your might. Love your neighbor as yourself. That's the double that you'll get in fullness of understanding, which will free you from this BS that these men have been boxed into for so long. So now let's see where all this comes together and how it's going to unfold. To do that, I need to show you now the movie. And I've got it in a frame. Once again, this is the movie Deep Impact. All right, and then we're not going to show you the thing L yet, but remember in the movie Semi-Pro it says something. It says L means everybody love everybody. And then they're calling that in this movie L, or L-E, which is E-L-E, in other words, L. Now we show you something in connection with the Canaanites that will further convey what all that means as we move forward into the next video. But now we're just going to focus on a few simple things that you could see right here. Now to set the tone of the scene, we see this lady here in the blue shirt. Her name is Jenny. Now anybody knows anything about my family, my sister started something called Justice for Jenny. And everybody that knows anything about what a Jenny is what? A female donkey. In association with the feminine line that came through the sacred feminine, of which mothers not only bore sons, but also bore daughters with that connection of that sacred line. Jenny is a reference to it, in which they show you here. Guess what they're showing you here? At least their perspective of Jenny's happens. Well, they get destroyed. Now remember, my sister started something called Justice for Jenny. It was even reported in People magazine, and they're supposed to do a movie about it. How incredible is that? Wow. How incredible is that? Look it up in People magazine, Justice for Jenny. Now, they're coming to a family that is associated with the government. And this family is doing what? They're getting out of town. And that's what it's going to be all about. Somehow we're going to connect this to a castle in a way that I described it, and only the way that the Spirit could reveal it in all its many variable forms. So these 2 people coming up, one is her cameraman, all in black. Her, Jenny Lerner, she's some sort of reporter, and I think it's for MSNBC or something like that, some major news network. This would be the daughter of the politician who's getting out of Dodge. Notice the box. Now, box is important, very important. It says natural high. In other words, going to a high place. Now, I'm not going to be pulling any punches here, because we'll see this high place will translate as exactly as I just did on a previous video about this giraffe, which symbolized as a high place to me in connection to the way that I described it with an island, as the moon location is being conveyed as a place where castaways have been cast. And then there's the moon, or there's the giraffe. Now think about a giraffe and the name Jeffrey Giraffe, some sort of popular kids situation. And now we see high place. Now that's one box. Now remember, these people with this girl and her father, who's not yet in the scene, they're about to get out of here. She's coming to talk to him to figure out why he's ditching his post and he's going somewhere all fast. Connection to this Ellie thing, which you should know means extinction level event. But if you connect it back to the tribe of Cain, it becomes their chief deity as El, the bull god, which then just becomes the chief deity of the Masons, the Musons, the cowboys, as Jabu-on. And we know where Jabu-on is. He is on the moon. How do we know that? Because we look at the next box down here that says a particular key phrase that will be associated directly to 2 terms that we've just related, or have been relating over these videos. The box says Avalon. Notice that you see fishing rods here. And then we see in a connection with Avalon, which is going to be further connected with the moon and the DreamWorks and the Fishers of Men. And now we see Avalon. We want to understand, how is that going to connect back to King Arthur? How is that even going to connect back to a giraffe named Jeffrey in connection to a high place in description of an island, as I've already described it? Well, hold on to your hats. This will bring everyone to the table of truth and let you know that I am a seer and I reveal the truth. Anybody seeking to stop me, conveys on. Anybody seeking to stop this truth is conveying only lies. Avalon, as I just looked up on Google, you are not going to believe it. It literally took me by surprise. Welsh, probably from Aphale, meaning apple. Now remember Newton in the apple, in the falling apple, a fall. A fall. Apple. Now remember what I told you about it just in the last video, and I just went to go research something real quick and all this came upon me, and I said the apple of the eye. Now we've already shown it to you in many other ways, at least with the reflection of one person looking in the mirror with only one eye, and then they're seeing the reflection of themselves being the little guy in the eye as the apple in the eye, the objective, the vanity of the self. And now we have Avalon Welsh, probably from Aphale, meaning freaking apple. Are you kidding me? Apple of their eye. Guess what Avalon is? It's a legendary. I'm blown away. It's a legendary island featured in Arthurian legends. Remember King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table and the castle and everything that I just described with the sword and the stone over several videos past. It says, Avalon is a legendary island featured in Arthurian legends. It appears in Geoffrey of Monmouth's, or you can see that as Moonmouths. Geoffrey of Monmouth's 1136 pseudo-historical accounts called Historia Regum of Britannia, in other words, the history of the kings of Britain, as the place where King Arthur's sword, Excalibur. Now remember Zechariah chapter 4, I think it is, describing the roll, when I told you that's the rock and the roll, and the rock represents their sword. It says the place where King Arthur's sword Excalibur was forged, and later where Arthur was taken to recover from his wounds after Battle of Camels. Avalon was associated from an early date with mystical practices and people such as Morgan Le Fay, known as a legendary island of the dead. Known as a legendary island of the dead. An island of the dead. Necropolis, Potter's Field, City of the Dead, Osiris, Orion, God of the Dead. Unreal. Unreal. Where do you think they're going? They're going to that high place, which I told you that giraffe symbolized. And then I said that this was all connected to that refuge, which in essence is not really a field of dreams. It's more or less a potter's field, which is the necropolis. As above, so too below. Something sealed below, something sealed above. There you go, Avalon. Incredible. Now wait till we move forward into the rest of this.